Budgeting is totally overrated and it might be time to just scratch the whole thing altogether. Everyone talks about how budgeting is so important when it comes to personal finance, but if you use something that doesn't really work, then is there even a point of it? So in this video, I'll be talking about why budgeting doesn't work for some people and what you should do instead that's a lot easier for you to save money. Now, in my opinion, the main point of budgeting at the end of the day is to save money and hit your financial goals. And there are plenty of other great benefits when it comes to budgeting, like financial clarity with how much money is coming in and out of your bank account and getting a better control over your spending. And if you haven't done budgeting at all, most if not everyone would benefit from at least doing a month of tracking just so that you know how much money you're spending in bills and see if there's anything alarming. But the challenge of keeping a budget comes from having to update it every month or after every spending. And for some people, it just feels like a chore. So you end up not doing it at all. And even when you do it, it feels like it's very restrictive and stressful and overwhelming amount of things to do. And budgeting can feel overly detailed and very hard to stick to. And there's a lot of focus on restricting your spending rather than encouraging saving. And if this prevents you from budgeting at all, this means that you don't even get the benefit of saving money to hit your financial goals and getting that financial clarity and control that we just talked about. And according to a survey by the US Bank, only about 41% of Americans use a budget, even though 74% agree that it would help them to reach financial goals. And this could mean that 33% of the people understand that budgeting is beneficial to their goals, but can't keep a budget for whatever reason. And just like how budgeting is like keeping track of your money to hit your financial goals, this is similar to how some people keep track of how many calories that they intake in order to lose weight. And in both of those cases, you have the ultimate end goal of personal achievements, of buying a house or early retirement for budgeting, and feeling better about yourself and looking good when it comes to losing weight. And while it's very helpful to keep track of every calorie that you eat, if that's making it difficult for you to meet your end goal of staying active and eating healthy, then it just kind of becomes counterproductive and defeats the whole purpose of what you're trying to do at the end of the day. So in that way, if budgeting is also getting in the way of you saving money, then I think it's totally fine to just stop it altogether and just try something else that might work better. And in my personal case, I also want to save money without the hassle of budgeting. And the big realization came from a book called The Richest Man in Babylon, where it says a part of all you earn is yours to keep, and it should not be less than a tenth no matter how little you earn. Which is saying that as soon as you receive your income, you should immediately set aside a portion, at least a tenth, for your savings. So in that way, you're prioritizing your future financial security before spending on other expenses. And this is what's called paying yourself first. And this is much easier than saving after your expenses, because it's not hard at all to spend extra money that you have laying around. And this is also the part of the reason why most people should and do withhold their taxes before they get their paycheck, rather than having to pay all their taxes at the end of the year. So even though you're paying the same amount, it's much easier when you put away what you need to the side at first than to do it later on. And this pay yourself philosophy changed a lot about how I manage my personal finance. So rather than manually saving money at the end of the month, I could just automate the process at the start of the month when my paycheck comes in. And studies show that people who automate savings save 73% more than those who rely on a manual contribution. And that's because you're able to save a fixed percentage of your income every month and see it grow automatically without a conscious effort, which is a huge benefit. And the second benefit is that paying yourself first also reduces your financial stress because you already know that you hit your financial goals as soon as you got paid, which makes you feel more secure and confident. And the nice extra bonus is that you're now able to spend your fun money on whatever you want without the guilt because you already saved what you wanted to. So to implement this, the easiest way is to first get your employers to direct deposit 10% of your earnings into your savings account that you rarely check. And then the rest of the 90% could go into your spending account, just like normal. And then that's pretty much it. And if you want to take one step further, you could also take half of their 10%, so 5% of your savings account, and have it automatically contribute into your retirement account like a Roth IRA. And just leave the other half in the savings account and just don't touch it. And then you could use the rest of the 90% for your monthly expenses and for your fun money. And the initial challenge with paying yourself first that I could think of is just figuring out what percentage works well for you in your situation. And I highly suggest just starting at 10% if you can, and then build up from there. And for me personally, I'm really into the FIRE movement. So when I started my career, I set my goals to save at least 50% of my post-tax money. So one half I would use it to put into my savings and investments, while the other 50% just went to my monthly expenses. But for context, I was still living at home at the moment, so my rent was still a lot lower than what it is now, and the living cost has gone up by a ridiculous amount over the last few years. So I don't know how feasible it might be in your situation. But getting started with 10% is a great starting point for most people. And over time, just figure out what savings rate helps you to meet your financial goals of buying a house or going on your dream vacation or retiring early. And if you are interested in the FIRE movement or even early retirement, make sure you watch this video next where I talk about the 3 things that I wish I knew about the FIRE movement before I got started. And I hope to see you guys over there. Peace.